Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments, such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
We are facing the most serious threat to public media in history. Right now, the White House is trying to rescind already approved funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, money that keeps stations like ours running. Without it, essential local journalism, trusted reporting, and podcasts like this are all at risk. If you value public media, speak up now. Visit boisestatepublicradio.org/funding to learn more and take action.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. More Idaho Matters right now. On Tuesday, if you recall, we talked with the mayor of Caldwell after the city announced it might not be able to keep paying the West Valley Humane Society to take care of strays in Canyon County. At issue is a rate hike proposed by West Valley from about $70,000 to more than $500,000. Now, West Valley says they've been undercharging for their services for years, and they need to increase just to pay the bills. Well, the city of Caldwell says in order to pay for that rate hike, they may have to forego new police officers and firefighters. This issue came to a head last week during a public hearing where Caldwell residents voiced their concerns. Now, after our conversation earlier this week with the mayor, we did want to sit down with West Valley. So joining us today are Tyler Byers, West Valley Treasurer, and Public Operations Manager Emily Gamble. I want to welcome both of you to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So, Tyler, let me begin with you. What does West Valley do for Caldwell and Canyon County? Because you are independent of both the city and the county, correct?
That is correct. We are an independent 501c3 nonprofit organization that currently contracts with Nampa, Caldwell, and Canyon County to provide licensing, stray intake and care, protective custody, quarantine, and necropsy services for the cities and counties that we contract with.
So, Emily, right now you take in strays, but you're not able to provide other services like veterinary care for the public. Is that accurate?
Partially. We are providing microchips and vaccinations to the public. However, we're not providing the discounted spay-neuter services that we used to provide, correct?
So, can we talk about the proposed rate hike? So, Tyler, you're asking for almost $500,000 more than your current contract is sitting at. So, can you walk us through why you're asking for this hike and what led up to such a significant increase?
Well, West Valley Humane Society has been struggling financially off and on for several years. And we took the time and got some review level statements prepared this last year to really understand where we're at financially. And we were able to keep our doors open thanks to some grants from Best Friends Animal Society last year. However, as we look into 2025 and forward to 2026, we're projecting that we'll lose over $500,000 currently, still with some additional positions at the shelter that need to be filled to ensure ongoing services for these animals. As part of that review, we began to look at what other animal shelters across the state and general area are receiving for providing similar services. Shelters in Pocatello, Idaho are receiving nearly $24 per capita. Idaho Falls is over $17. Even Twin Falls is over $12 per capita, while our funding from both Caldwell and Nampa is currently at less than $1 per capita. Quite frankly, we just aren't taking in enough funds to be able to help these cities meet the needs and services that they have contracted the shelter to provide.
And Tyler, the city of Caldwell said that paying for the rate hike will, quote, likely prevent Caldwell Police and Caldwell Fire from adding new positions. When we did have the mayor of Caldwell on Tuesday, he did say they don't know if that would be the action they would have to take, but they wanted to be fully transparent on what they might potentially have to do if they continue with your services and agree to this rate hike. So are you concerned that, that they're making the case to say, well, it's either taking care of stray pets or it's either, police and fire?
I think that's a real tough dichotomy to place people in. Budgets are a complicated thing. There's many moving pieces and different parts. And I don't believe that anybody at the shelter or on the board for the shelter is actively advocating for them to cut back public services. We don't want to see any kind of degradation in the quality of life and the services that people in Caldwell provide. We're just simply trying to explain that these are real costs, and if we're not able to make something work with the city, the cost for animal services that they're going to have to provide, either through a new contractor or themselves, is going to come at a significant cost increase, even above the $540,000 that we're presenting. So we don't want this to be an us versus Caldwell Fire or Caldwell Police. We want this to really be a collaborative process. And how do we make sure that this works for all of the citizens and all of the animals in Canyon County?
And Emily, are you even able to keep up with demand right now when it comes to taking care of strays?
Currently, yes. I mean, we have it. The 4th is coming, so there's always that influx that we're going to see. With having cut back on other things, so that's the hard part, right? Any extra services we've had to cut back on, and to just be able to focus on those contracts, and that's where we're stuck. If we can't we can keep up with what we have, but we can't go any further, and it's going to continue to grow.
Tyler, I only have about 2 minutes left, and I know that you have said, your organization said, you've been in negotiations with the city of Caldwell since November. This should not have been a shock to the city council. The mayor did not dispute that earlier in the week. So my question for you, with just about a minute and a half left, is there a middle ground, do you think, that can be found? Or do you need this rate increase just to keep the doors open once your contract expires in 2026?
Well, that's something that I think is really needs to be understood. I don't believe that this is a 2026 issue. If we don't get these funds, our shelter is likely running out of money by February of 2026. So there will be no West Valley Humane Society to take care of the animals for Caldwell if we don't reach some type of agreement. If we can't hit these budget numbers that we've requested, not only from Caldwell, but also the increase from NAMPA, if we're not able to receive those dollars, it becomes a conversation of what services do you guys want to give up in that case, because we cannot continue on the path that we are with any less funding than what we've asked for. So it's either going to be, shutting our doors for good or significantly restricting the services we can provide.
I want to thank you both so much for coming on and letting us talk about your side of this story as well. We wanted to make sure everyone got a chance to talk about this. We've been talking with Tyler Byers, West Valley Humane Society Treasurer, and Public Operations Manager Emily Gamble about a proposed rate hike to provide animal services to the city of Caldwell. The next public town hall is set for this Monday at Caldwell City Hall. And don't forget, we did speak to the Caldwell mayor on Tuesday. You can find that conversation on our website, BoiseStatePublicRadio.org. And that'll do it for this episode of Idaho Matters. Thanks so much for listening. And just a reminder, you can find all of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.